Yeah, hello everybody. The two people I have watching right now, at least. Jay, I see you in there. You said you won't be typing. However, hopefully you'll be able to watch. This is going to be pretty much a standard upgrade. It's not going to be that exciting, but we're going to have some fun doing this. Just got these in today. These are two 5675 CPUs that we will be upgrading my classic Mac Pro to. So let me get some light over here. So anyways, hopefully you enjoy it. Hey, Sad Mac, how you doing? If I'm not watching the topics or the comments too much, I'm actually streaming from my cMP. I'm using screencast or remote desktop on this laptop because my cMP is back. My main Mac Pro is back there, and it's the one actually doing the heavy lifting. So the only thing I'm using this for is basically remoting into the other one to pull up the display. So what we're going to start doing here, and I might wait a few minutes for get some other people to go. What I'm doing is I have a classic Mac Pro that I purchased recently, and I attempted to upgrade to some 5675s before. However, I think I got a bad CPU or something went wrong with it. I tested those same CPUs in my main Mac Pro that I'm using now to stream this on, and they also failed there. So, but I had some 55 or 5645s laying around that I went ahead and delidded, and I put those into my secondary machine, and they work properly. So I have all 12 cores. So I know it's not the tray. So it's got to be the CPU. So I went ahead and got a couple more. I bought these off eBay. They were $29 for the pair plus about $7 shipping. So it equaled to about $36 total. So it's not too bad. I could deal with that. It's better than paying a whole lot of money for CPUs, especially the prices that they want nowadays. Now I got to find my knife here. Hold on. All right, there we go. Plus get my iFixit kit right here ready too. Yeah, it's always good to be prepared for this, you know. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this. First off, I'm going to open up this anesthetic bag and get the CPUs out. The guy packed them up pretty well. I mean, it was in a rather, I wouldn't say large box, but the box it was in had plenty enough padding, and he had tons of bubble wrap on these. So make sure I got what I got. That's an X5675, which is good. It's supposed to be a matched pair, and I say that sarcastically because even Jay will tell you that as long as they're 5675s, it doesn't matter if the dates are matched or anything, they're still going to work. All right, so I have my two CPUs here, and these are both Intel 09, so it's 2009 X5675s, Intel Xeons. They're SLBYL Costa Rica, 3.06 gigahertz, and 12M and 640. So, and then the last number, I'm not sure. I think that's a date code. I'm not sure, but the last numbers match up. They're 3128 Alpha 826. So there we go. So we know what those are. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be delidding these, and let's see if I can get a focus on there. It's not, I don't have a lot of light over here, so there we go. But I don't know if you could see the You can't see the writing on there. It's kind of hard to see. But we're going to go ahead and delid this. Now, I do not use a vise method. I do not recommend using a vise method. A lot of people will recommend using a vise method. I will be using this, which is a heat gun. Well, it's a hot air workstation. So I'll be using that. I'll be using a pair of helping hands here. And I'll be using razor blades. Okay. This is the best way that, and I've done many of these. I have yet to mess up one. So we're going to go ahead and do this. So first thing I'm going to do is you got to cut there's glue all the way around this heat spreader here. This is a integrated heat spreader, and you got to cut the glue around here. Now, the problem with this, and I'll show you, this is one I did before. This is the ones that are bad. This is actually a bad one. So I don't know if you could see that, but around the edge here, you could still slightly see some right there. Now, when you can slightly see some of the glue, but there's nothing there. It's just the way it looks. But you could see that there are several capacitors all along the side and on the bottom and top of the CPU die. So you got to make sure you do not cut into those. You only want to cut in deep enough to cut the glue, and that's it. Because you'll see, I don't know if you could see, but how close, let's see if I can get that light back in. There we go. You can see how close the glue was to those capacitors. So know your limits. You'll feel resistance if you hit the capacitors. But this is what's underneath this. Okay, this is the same CPU as what this is. However, this one, for some reason, and this one over here, these two don't work in my classic Mac Pro. So therefore, I'm not going to. Now, the funny thing is that each one of these works as individual ones, but I don't know why. But we're going to see if that's the problem. If that's still a problem, then I'll go back to the 5645s. I mean, those are 2.06 megahertz or something like that. They're still fast, but they're not as fast as these. So the way I start is I start on a corner right here, and we're going to basically work it back and forth. And I kind of do like a rocking motion right here. And that gets in there. So I'm going to do it on each corner to get in there. And I pretty much know where to stop on these because I've done so many of them now. But you want to go in just deep enough to get the glue cut. That's all you want to do. And you want to do this all the way around. Now make sure you don't scrape any of this stuff too. There's little test points, I guess, or little pads on here that you don't want to scrape. So make sure you don't scrape those. So we're going to do that. Once you get used to doing these, I mean, like I said, I've done quite a few of these now, and it's almost like second nature when how this thing works. So, but they're pretty easy to do once you get them done. So, all right, let's get that. All right, so now once you get all around it, now you're going to take razor blades and you're going to put 4 of them on here. So you're going to put one right here. And like I said, again, don't go too deep. You're going to take another one, stick it on the opposite side, just like that. And again, don't go all the way in. Take another one, and on top of these, or on the bottom, doesn't matter, you want to go on the top. So you're basically going to have 4 razor blades on here all the way around this thing. All right, so there we go. That's the third one. And let's get the 4th one in here. All right. So there we go. All right. So now you have all 4 of them like this. So what I am going to do, I used to use a tape roll, but I found out that using these helping hands actually works out a little bit better. So what I do now is I put these helping hands and I hold 2 of the razor blades like that, but I hold it over my rubber mat here. And the reason why is because the CPU is going to drop, but the heat spreader is not. So let's go ahead and turn on my to 450 degrees Celsius. And let's get some heat going here. Still heating up. And we're just going to run it up and down here. Now, you're going to do this till you hear a pop. As soon as you hear the pop, take the heat off. There we go. And there's the pop right there. Damn, does this thing not come off all the way? All right, let's see. Now this thing is going to be hot, so there we go. There we go. Got the heat spreader off. And this thing is going to be hot, so I'm going to let it cool down a little bit before I mess with it. And this heat spreader is going to be really hot. The reason why I'm doing it on this rubber mat, this is actually a heat-resistant rubber mat, so I could put all kind of heat on there. So I could put pretty much direct heat on it. It's not going to melt this. This is made for soldering, so that's the reason why I do it over this. So that heat spreader is off, and we'll show it to you here in a second once it cools down. But you'll see that there is still solder on there that we're going to get off here in a little bit. But while we're waiting for that, okay, razor blades are starting. They're already cooled down, so we're good. So we're going to start this next one. So we're going to let that one cool down, and we're going to do this next one. So we're going to do the same exact thing I did before, and we're going to get the glue all the way around, cut. See, I got 3 viewers now. Who else has popped in here? I don't see no chatting. Man, you guys are quiet. More chatting on Mac Yak than here. I know Jay said he's not going to be chatting much, but and right now I'm at around 400 and I want to say 416 something subs. So I'm getting up there. I haven't done too many videos yet, so I need to get back into my ham radio stuff and get some ham radio videos out for the Mac. I was going to start that series. I started 1 episode, and I haven't done any since then. Although, granted, I did move from Arizona to here to Virginia, so that put a damper on things because here, for some reason, the ham radio is a little bit. I haven't heard too many people. Well, where I'm living at too, it's hard to get a signal. Oh, you have a cat demanding attention. Sounds about like my dogs there, Sad Mac. I feel your pain right there. except dogs tend to be a little bit more wanting attention. But cats, yeah, I've had cats before. I just can't have them right now. The wife is super allergic to shedding animals. So it's the reason why we got schnauzers, because schnauzers do not shed. Okay. And these cool down pretty quick, so that's why I can grab them again. Okay, come on. There we go. Almost done, and we'll get the second one. The heat gun is probably the longest, or getting the glue off and the solder off these is probably going to be the longest process of this upgrade. Because putting the CPUs in, that's the easy part. The hard part is going to be this part that I'm doing now. This is probably the most difficult part of doing this. All right, so let's go ahead and take this off again. Let it heat up. 450. And I recommend using a hot air workstation versus a regular heat gun. And the reason why is because you control the heat a little bit better. The biggest reason why you put the razor blades around there is to put pressure on it so it pops. There we go. I don't know if you could hear that pop on the... There we go. All right, so there we go. We have two completely delidded CPUs. So this is very hot, but I don't know if you can see, but that's the solder on the inside of the heat spreader, and you can see the glue that they use around it. So let's see, this one's still a little warm, but you can see the solder on the inside of that one too. It's kind of gobbed up, but that's what we're melting. Yeah. Oh, you heard it pop? Good. That's what you got to hear. You got to hear that pop, and that's when you know to take the heat off of it. Now, the reason why you don't want to, oh, that was still a hot one. This is the cool one. Is on the bottom here, there's a lot of capacitors up in this area. And you don't want to do two things. You don't want to warp any of this part, which is where the contacts are. And you don't want to lose any of these capacitors, because if you lose a capacitor off of there, this CPU pretty much became worthless. So you don't want to do that. All right, I'm looking at it, and it looks like I got all my caps on there. No warping. So we're good to go. So now we're going to clean this thing up. Now, let me see if I can get the camera up closer a little bit here. All right, so there we go. A little bit better. So now you guys can see. But anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean off all of this stuff here as much as possible. Now, some people use like a plastic spooger or whatever to or spudger, whatever you want to call it, to get it off. I like using just a razor blade. So what I do is I sit there and slowly, and this solder is so soft, it comes off really easy. Another thing is you got to still be careful of those capacitors. So do it nice and slow. Don't rush it. You know, do not rush this. Because you see those capacitors right at the top right there. And this thing keeps wanting to go to sleep on me. So there we go. All right. And then we're going to scrape this part off that I stopped. All right. So see, I've got, that's a piece of solder that comes off of the CPU. Now, we got most of it off, but there's still a lot on there. So we're just going to slowly scrape this, and you can see it's coming off a little at a time. You can see that stuff right there. We're just going to keep, and it doesn't have to be completely smooth, because that's the reason why you put thermal paste on it to begin with, because the thermal paste will actually fill in all the little gaps and everything. So you don't have to worry too much about that. So there we go. This one's actually coming out really nice, actually. I'm not going to have to do too much scraping on here. A lot of people will get nervous about this die, but as long as you don't scrape really, really hard, it's not going to hurt it. That's actually smooth. So there you go. See how that, it looks pretty bad on camera, but it's actually really, really smooth. Let's go over it a couple more times. Yeah, see, there's nothing left on there really for me to scrape. A lot of people I read about, they use a polishing sandpaper. I got enough air in here to actually polish it down to where you can actually see yourself in it. To be honest with you, they're my CPUs. I don't care. I'm not going to do all that. Now, another thing you're going to have to do is that there's still a little bit of glue on this. So take the razor blade and you're going to kind of try to peel this stuff off. Let me get my magnifying glass here so I can see. I'm old, so. And we're just going to basically cut most of this glue off. Now, the reason why I do this is because I, unlike some people in some of the forums and stuff, I still like to use the spacers on these chips. And the 4,1s, because they're the only cMP, especially the dual processor one, is the only one that requires delidded CPUs. It's the only Mac Pro. Now, what's the difference between the 4,1 and the 5,1? Nothing really, except the CPUs. Now, a 4,1 tray will not work. Well, it will work, but your fans will run like crazy if you try to put a 4,1 tray into a 5,1 and vice versa. They'll work, they'll boot up, but your fans will go nuts because it doesn't know how to act. I'm not sure if anybody has ever tried to put a 4,1 to a 5,1 and vice versa, and then use fan control software to keep it from going crazy. I don't know. I wonder if that would work or not. I don't have a 5,1 tray to try that, so only thing I could suggest is if Jay, who has a 4,1 and a 5,1, to give that a shot and see if using fan control software would work. I don't know if it will or not. I've never went and explored it much, but who knows? All right, so let me. Where's my Q-tips? There we go. All right, we got to get some alcohol here. We're going to clean up this CPU a little bit before we start on the next one. And the next one's basically just going to be a repeat process of what I did on the very first one. I know this might be kind of boring, but all right, so we're just going to make sure we get all the little shavings off of here. Remember, I was shaving it with the solder off, and I don't want any little pieces of metal from that. So I'm just using some alcohol and some Q-tips, and we'll use these again when we clean off the actual CPU heatsink. And there we go, one completed CPU. So we're going to put this one aside. We're going to start on our next one here. Let's see, I really need to get some new razor blades. Hey, Retro Techie. Is this where the party's at? Yep, this is where the party's at. Figured no one else is streaming from Mac Yak, so I might as well do it. Got these in the mail today. Ordered them off of eBay. And let's hope that this set works, whereas my other set did not work. So we're just doing a delid, or we're delidding these first off the bat, and then we're going to replace the CPUs I have in my second CPU, or cMP. I have two Mac Pros now, so I am using my second one on my workbench here. It's right behind. It's right here behind the camera. The monitor. It's a 30. It's a 30-inch cinema display that I got for it. Came with the computer. I paid $300 and got the cMP and the monitor with the brick and everything for, like I said, $300. Not a bad price if you ask me. I'm keeping it. I am not going to flip this. I only have two. I want to keep this as either a backup or it's going to be my test machine. So I'm actually running Open Core and Big Sur on this machine right now, because they did fix the race condition on Open Core now on Big Sur. So now we can actually run Big Sur without having that race condition. Why, Retro Tech, are you looking to buy one? I mean, there's deals out there. You just got to find them. I found this one on Facebook Marketplace, and I jumped on it. You have three. All right, you got one more than I do then. Let's try. I don't like using that blade. It's easier to control with this. Which ones do you have, Retro Tech? These, I have, both of mine are 4,1s. And they're both dual CPUs. I mean, I've already done the pixelless mod on it. Have a flash 4. Well, yeah, these are both flash 4,1s, of course. Anybody that has a 4,1 that's not flashed, which is weird because guess what? Both of them I got when I got them. Why am I hiding that? No. All right. Sorry, I hit the wrong button there. My display was going to sleep and I hit it and that popped up. So, all right. So, like I was telling Sadmac there that I am getting ready to. So yeah, both of mine are flash 4,1s. To be honest with you, I think the 4,1s, especially the delidded, run a little bit cooler. I think Jay was going to do a test on that to see if that theory was correct or not, being that they're delidded, that they should run a little cooler because you're basically, the heat sink is directly on the CPU die and not with the integrated heat spreader. Wow, 5,1 for $100 Canadian. What's that in? I don't have a calculator. What's that in American dollars? And that's the last of this air can. Can of air. Hold on, I got another can over here. All right, so now I have two CPUs that are fully delidded. So now I'm going to put this alcohol over here. Let's get rid of these laser blades out of the way so I don't cut myself. Let me clean off my stuff here. And let me dump this into the trash. All right, so now we get to have the fun part of putting these inside the cMP. So let me get the tray out. And this is off camera, so all right, let me pull the camera back a little bit. There we go. All right. 79, that is not bad at all. The first cMP I bought, I paid 150 US for it. And the guy gave me a couple of 5645s that he was going to put in it, but he never did. It came with the original 5520s, which are the quad core CPUs. So I put those, or I went and bought some 5675s. And the reason why I run the 5675s is because they will actually turbo up to 3.4 gigahertz. So they run pretty close, but the TDP on those is a lot less than the 3690s. I think the TDP is only 90 watts for the 5675s, and it's I want to say 130 for the 5690s. All right, so the way I do this, I only do one CPU at a time. Now, the cool thing about this is that there is no clips on this. No clips at all, but the CPU usually gets stuck. So these are 5645s. These are actually 6-core processors, which I will probably save as a backup, because always good to have a backup. And I got to have towels here. So let's go ahead and put a CPU in here so I don't screw up the pins. I always like to keep the pins covered because anything gets in there. Now, a lot of people don't use these little plastic spacers. The reason why I do is because Apple designed this tray to use them. Because, and here's my theory on it. If you put this on without the spacer, you have no pressure on the outside. You only have pressure right on the middle of the die. So you're only pushing down in the middle. The spacer actually makes it where it puts pressure, even pressure, on the whole die. So, because it puts pressure on the outside and on the inside. So therefore, all the pins, you're not getting like it bowed up inside of there or whatnot. There's a lot of discussion. A lot of people don't like using them, but me personally, I like to use them, and I will continue to use them. Jay actually has a where you can 3D print some if you're missing them. So we're going to go ahead and put some thermal paste on, and we're going to put just the right amount. All right. Should be plenty to spread it around. Now, you can put lidded CPUs in here. However, you're going to have to put washers over here on all 4 of these posts. Now, there's a procedure to do that. However, what that does is it also lifts up these little chips right here. Have to be touching this thermal pad right here. And what happens is that gets lifted off. Yes. So there you go. So what happens is it lifts those off. So then you got to get thicker thermal pads, which reduces the heat efficiency going to the heat sink, in my opinion. Another thing is there's a fan inside of this. I don't know if you can see it inside there, but there is a fan in here. Let me see if I can get it right. But anyway, well, it's over here on this side. There's a fan built into the heatsink. Okay. So what you're going to do is also you have to break this to make it fit all the way into this socket right here. So there you go. All right, so there we go. So now we're going to put this back on. And you can't, and when you're not using washers or the ones that are lidded, then you don't have to worry about this, because you can actually screw this down till it stops, and it will be the proper torque. A lot of people think that, oh, you got to torque it to a certain level, but no, once the screw stops, then you're at the proper torque. And I always do an X pattern here, so that's all you got to do is till it stops, and you don't have to worry about it. Now, I'm not sure about the 5-com ones. I've never messed with them, but I know they have a clip on them, because those are lidded. I'll tell you what, having one of these tools, it comes in very handy for these. All right, and we're going to clean those up a little bit later. Probably do that off camera. I'm not going to do it while you guys are watching. All right, that right there. Put my spreader on there. And just for you, Retro Techie, you can see I did use alcohol on it. These I just repasted like about a week ago because I put these in about a week ago, so the paste wasn't even really caked on or anything, so it came off really, really clean, you know, so it's not too bad. All right, so let me get my, oops, I almost forgot to put thermal paste on. Like I said, just the right amount, not too much, not too little. I used to do the method where I would spread it around myself, but I got tired of doing that. If you look, you can see that these actually got spread pretty darn good, and I got just the right amount of paste on there because they're not, you know, they're not going all the way over the die, or they're not overflowing over the top or over the side of the die. So I've got it pretty much figured out exactly how much paste to put on there. Carry on. Sound like you were in the Army or something there. All right, so there we go. So once I get this in, I'm going to plug in my CPU. You probably won't see that on camera because it's underneath this desk right here. Like I said, these you can screw until they actually stop because they are actually set at the perfect height for delidded CPUs. A lot of people think that you have to torque it and not go down all the way or back it off. No, you want these to be right at what the trays were. All right, so there we go. So let me go ahead. Get this turned around. I'll get this in the cMP, and we're going to fire it up. I'll put the camera at the screen so you can see what I'm doing. Let's see. Ethernet. Speaker. Display or DVI display, because this is like I said, it's a cinema display. I think it just looks really cool. I know it uses a lot of energy, but I don't keep it on all the time. So, all right, looks like everything's plugged in. Get my keyboard out. Now this is a wireless keyboard, but I like to keep it plugged in. So we're going to do that. Let's see if we get a bong. If we don't, then I know something's wrong. And here we go. Hey, got a bong. Let's see if she boots this time. So let's turn the camera around so you can see the display. Not sure how good that's going to look. Now it is running open core, so it takes a little bit longer. And this is actually a flashed 580 or a flash card. So there we go. Look at that. So open core is actually working. So we're going to go ahead And it's booting. Imagine that. So now, pull this off of here so you can see. It bombed. Yes, it did. That's a Grudy saying right there. I think he's got a patent on that. I don't know if you ever watch Rucke Mods, but he did that one time, and he goes, it bombed. It bombed. All right. And I have not even changed the default picture yet because, like I said, this is kind of a test machine. So, and there we go. See, you can see it is running Big Sur. And let's see, let's pull up about this Mac. And we are running 2 times 3.06 gigahertz 6-core Intel Xeon processors. I don't know. Let me see if I can pull up a little closer here. So there you go. So that it works. So we're going to go ahead and run this is one of my favorite tests I like to run on this. Let's see, where is she? Where's Cinebench? Oh, there it is. Missed it. So we're going to run Cinebench on this just to see how fast it is now. I have a tail on my face. That's where I picked it up from. All right, so this is right here. The last score I got with the 5645s was a 6,198. That's the score I got. So it's going to take about 10 minutes to run this, but let's go ahead and run this. Oh, I love seeing all those cores in action right there. Actually, believe it or not, Retro Techie, my other cMP is actually using a RX 580 right now that has been Mac video card flashed. I traded an NVIDIA. I traded an NVIDIA 1060 for 1060 for the 580. Straight up trade with the guy from our Discord. And I tell you what, that thing works great. This one is a 50. What is this again? This is a XFX R7970 that I bought, and I actually flashed it myself. I did the flashing myself to make it Mac compatible. So that's the reason why you see a white screen on there. Now, remember, my last score was right here where the cursor is. I don't know if you can see it. That's where my score was. So the first round of this, and it's only taken it about probably a minute, because it takes 10 minutes to run this thing. Bam, it's already way above. It's going to be about 8,000, somewhere around 8,000. So I just gained almost 2,000 points just by upgrading the CPU from a 5645 to a 5675. So now I am cooking with fire here. So now I have two identical CPU trays that I can interswap between my two cMPs. The only difference is that this cMP has a less of a graphics card in it than the other one. The other one has a 580 in it. This one has an RX 5970 in it. So Only two differences. Now both these machines both have the pixelless mod in it. I did the pixelless mod a couple days ago on this one. And I recommend doing it. However, it's not really needed. This card that I have in here can run off the back plane, no problem. However, I like to have the pixelless mod in there because if GPU prices ever come back down again, and that's a big if, especially today's chip shortage. In fact, I read a story today where they said that I expect more chip shortages. So that's going to happen some more. So there you go. All right, so that's the second run. It's still running. Still got about 6 minutes and 30 seconds left. But I love watching this thing do all those cores at once. I mean, that's 24 threads running right now. And I'll tell you what, the cMP couldn't be beat back in the day when they had this thing. So, yeah, this is still a pretty good machine to use. As I told the MacAt crew and stuff, I actually had a 2017 iMac with a 5K display, 27-inch. That's a 2017, and this cMP actually smoked it in multi-core. Now the 2017 smoked it in single core, but it was only running an i5 processor. Only could run. I think it was 4 cores, 4 threads because, or no, 8 threads, sorry, because that's all it could run. So I decided to go ahead and sell my 2017 iMac, and I started using just the cMP itself. And to be honest with you, now that OpenCore has fixed the Big Sur problem, I think we're going to see a little bit more life squeezed out of these things, to be honest with you. I think we're going to see a lot more life left in these things. Now, to be honest with you, I don't think we're going to see more than maybe 5 to 7 years, maybe, but who knows, you know? All right, while that's running, well, let's pull up the temperatures here real quick because I run TGP or TG Pro. Right now, CPU A is at 48 degrees. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 59 degrees. CPU B is at 53. And I have the cover open. I don't even have the cover on. Let me put the cover back on, let the airflow be a little bit more efficient. Oops. It would help if I put it up right side up. All right, so now we have the cover back on. The North Bridge is only running at 52 degrees. I actually repasted that North Bridge the last time I put those CPUs in, so it's only been a week or so, maybe. That the North Bridge has been repasted, but I also took out the little plastic spacers and I used M3 screws with the springs still in them. I used the springs from the plastic spacers, or clips rather, and now the North Bridge is actually screwed in instead of being held in with that little plastic thing. I think those little plastic things are a stupid design decision on Apple's part, but hey, you know, you do what you got. Let's see. The AMD Radeon is running at 40 degrees Celsius right now. I'm not even putting a load on it, so that's one of the reasons why it's so cool. This thing usually will idle at around 35 to 38 degrees Celsius. Hey, what's up, Brock? How you doing? But like I said, the using TG TG Pro, and yes, I do pay for this software. A lot of people think that, all we do is we get software free, but this is actually something I did pay for. It's worth paying for it. It's only I think it's like $10 or whatever. I can't remember how much I paid for it. Wasn't that much. But go ahead and buy it, because it does a lot more control, and I'm going to show you why here. I don't know if you can see it when I bring it up. Let's see. Let me bring it over here so you can see it better. So I'm going to bring up the let's see, right here. All right, so this is the preferences, and you can see this is all the rules I have set up for all my fans. I set up a whole lot of different rules for fans to keep this thing cool. Myself personally, for instance, the Boost A, which is the fan on the CPU A, I have it set for 25, 50, 75, and 100%. Okay, so it's 4 different temperature grades when the CPU A diode reaches certain temperatures. So it ramps it up to 25% when the CPU is above 40 degrees Celsius. When it gets to 50 degrees Celsius, it ramps it to 50%. When it gets to 65 degrees Celsius, it ramps it to 75%. And when it gets above 75 degrees, it will go to 100% fans. I've yet to see it go to 100% fans yet. But I like to have an aggressive fan curve on here. Yes, it might sound a little bit louder, but it's better to have your CPUs cool and all your equipment in there cool. Down the bottom here, you can see this is the actual fan speeds running. So right now, the only 2 that are actually 50% right now is the Boost A and Boost B. So that's the CPU fans. The intake and exhaust are tied to the North Bridge. And when they reach a certain temperature, then that'll kick up. So that actually keeps up the North Bridge cool. And then, of course, you got the PCIe, which is the PCIe slot, which I actually use. That is tied to my GPU. And the power supply, of course, and then exhaust. Well, the exhaust and intake is, like I said, is tied to the North Bridge. All right, so we're about done. Whoops, wrong one. With the test, and here is the results. The results are 7769. So basically about 1,500 more points than what I had before on this one. Packed away with your quad. Yep. Hey, how you doing, Jay? Jay, these 5675s work. So it had to be the CPU. It wasn't the CPU tray like I thought it was. So we figured it out, and now I have 2 identical CPU trays that I can swap back and forth if needed. Yep. Well, not these 5675s, Jay. These 5675s here, I don't know if you can see them. That's the ones that did not want to work properly in this. And I thought, for the longest time, I thought I had some bent pins on the CPU B, because the CPU A, I could put one CPU in and it would boot up fine. When I put 2 of them in, I couldn't even get a bong, and it would, a chime, and it wouldn't even boot up. So I had a lot of power light issues when I pushed the little power light button, so it wasn't giving me the proper lights. So I thought for sure it was some bent pins. So I had that thing under the microscope. I was making sure I went through every little pin, making sure the pins were not bent and not, so that they would work properly. Let me turn the camera around so you guys can see me. But yeah, I had a problem with those CPUs, and now they work fine. And like I said, the place I bought them from on eBay, they were $29.99, so it's $30 for the CPUs, and I think about $6 or $7 shipping. So it was well under $50. So, you know, a lot of places are selling them for about $50 or so. So when I get them under 50, that's a pretty good deal. A lot of them, you'll see a lot of people selling them already delidded, and they'll throw the cost of delidding them in there. But as you saw me today, it took little effort to delid these things and to get them cleaned up. So let me pull up TGP again. So it's not running anything. Let's see. Show main window. So right now, my CPU A diode is back to 36 degrees Celsius. CPU diode's at 33 degrees Celsius. That's at idle. I think that's pretty darn good, and I think that's pretty cool. The North Bridge is running at 54 degrees Celsius right now. So to me, this is a win. So make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button too. I'm at 400. I think I said I was at 415 subs. Yeah, let's get those subs up there. So if you got some friends that might like this video, point them to it. It's a cheap and easy way to upgrade this computer and to keep these things running for a little bit longer. One of the biggest reasons why a couple of reasons why I did not go with the 36 or the 5690s. One is the price of them. They're still ridiculously priced out there. You can't get a pair of 5690s for less than $120, I think. I think that's the cheapest ones I saw. They're still going for ridiculous prices. Two, and like I said before, is the TDP of the 5690s is a lot higher than the I smashed that like button and gingerly clicked subscribe. Thank you, Retro Techie. I appreciate it. But two, like I said, the TDP, so running it full time, like I do on my other cMP, it stays on 24/7 because it is my Plex server. And so I don't want to spend that much in electricity bill running 5690s when, like I said, these will turbo up to 3.4 gigahertz, which is what the 3690s run at. And I don't think I want to say that those only turbo up to about 3.5 or 3.6 gigahertz. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, but I think the 3690s don't really give you much more performance boost for what the cost of electricity is going to be on it. 3.7, yeah. So you're only getting 0.3 on it. So that's yeah, I'll put that there. So yeah, you only get 0.3 more. So is it worth paying an extra $80 plus the cost of electricity to run it versus, you know, what you could buy a set of 5675s, which is the best ones you could run, and I think they run at 90 watts, whereas I think the 5690s run at 130 watts TDP. I have to look those up again, but I think I'm correct on that. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. And let's see, 20 years ago, it would have killed for an additional 300 megahertz. Today, nah, who cares? Yeah. Well, I think you have some 5690s, don't you, Jay? I think you do. So anyways, guys, if you guys like this video, like I said, or if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you guys. You'll catch me again on well, actually you won't catch me Thursday night because I will not be on MacYac. It'll be Jay. At least I know Jay will be there. I believe Steve will be there. I know Bruce will be. Mike possibly. So I am getting ready to go to Charlotte Motor Speedway to watch the race this weekend coming up. So you guys have a good day and a good night. And we'll catch you guys later. Have a good one.